The Honourable Member for Niagara West Glanbrook.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's with great pleasure I rise today to speak on our economy and our government's Economic Action Plan 2013. The implementation of our new budget will have a positive impact on all the lives of all Canadians. Continuing to follow in the successful path blazed by Economic Action Plan 2012, our government is squarely focused on what matters to Canadians: creating jobs, economic growth, and securing Canada's long-term prosperity. Our government continues to make common sense changes to the way government is run and the way taxpayers' money is spent. This plan will serve to create a more efficient government, one that will see Canada return to balanced budgets in 2015, while at the same time keep federal taxes at their lowest level in 50 years. Today I would like to highlight several aspects of how our government plans to achieve our goals of job creation, economic growth, and long-term prosperity. Mr. Speaker, to succeed in the goals we have set out, we are focused on furthering our trade relationship with the United States, as well as opening up new and emerging markets for Canadians, attracting new high-quality jobs at home by keeping corporate taxes low, reducing burdens to our businesses through the removal of red tape, fostering entrepreneurial talent and ideas with increased research and development funding, and better aligning our immigration system with the needs of the Canadian economy. Achieving these goals, along with our plan to return to balanced budgets in 2015, confirms our financial responsibility with taxpayers' dollars. An important way to provide better value for taxpayers' money while creating jobs and economic growth relies heavily on private-public partnerships, or P3s. Economic Action Plan 2013 proposes $1.25 billion over 5 years to renew the P3 Canada Fund. This renewal is part of the new Building Canada Plan, which will see $53 billion in funding over 10 years. Under P3 arrangements, governments will continue to own infrastructure assets, while the private sector plays a larger role in their design, construction, operation, and maintenance. Canada is becoming a leader in P3s, and our government is committed to supporting the further development of the Canadian P3 market. The new Windsor-Detroit International Crossing is a project that exemplifies what our government aims for in P3 projects. While the Windsor-Detroit Trade Corridor is the most important international land crossing in North America, handling almost 30% of Canada-U.S. surface trade worth $120 billion per year. This new crossing will accelerate the movement of international trade, increase the competitiveness of the Canadian manufacturing sector, and create thousands of new jobs. The United States remains Canada's closest ally and the biggest trading partner. Our two countries have a tremendous stake in each other's success. The Windsor-Detroit International Crossing project will include 6-lane bridge across the Detroit River, customs plazas on both sides of the border, and a connection to Interstate 75 in Michigan. As well, the construction of a parkway that will connect the new crossing to Highway 401 is already underway as a separate P3 project, supported by a federal contribution from the Gateways and Border Crossing Funds. Economic Action Plan 2013 proposes $25 million over 3 years to advance the Windsor-Detroit International Crossing project into procurement. Getting people, goods, and services across the Canada-U.S. border is critical to our country's prosperity, but we all have to be working very hard to expand trade with other countries. Trade is a vital part of Canada's economy. In fact, 1 in 5 Canadian jobs is linked to exports, and trade accounts for more than 60% of Canada's GDP. Current trade negotiations build on a record of new free trade agreements with 9 countries in fewer than 6 years. Recently, our government is also committed to increasing trade with the Asia-Pacific region, the countries of the European Union, Brazil, China, and India. In addition to opening up new and emerging markets, we also must place heavy focus on attracting responsible foreign investment here in Canada. Our government's low tax plan serves to encourage development in existing companies while establishing Canada as an investment destination for an increasing number of corporate taxpayers. When our government first came into power in 2006, the corporate tax rate was 21%. This was reduced to 19% in 2009, 18% in 2010, 16.5% in 2011, and currently sits at 15%. As a result, We have seen the creation of nearly 1.5 million net new jobs since January 2006, the best record of job growth in the G7. Aside from our low tax plan, small and medium-sized businesses also require right resources and incentives to advance new ideas, allowing them to become more competitive and create and sustain high-paying, value-added jobs. Our government's economic action plan is committed to the success of Canadian entrepreneurs, innovators, and world-class researchers. Since 2006, our government has provided more than $9 billion in new funds to support science, technology, and the growth of innovative ideas. Economic Action Plan 2013 proposes to build on the strong foundation, helping to position Canada for sustainable long-term economic prosperity and a higher quality of life for Canadians. Venture capital plays an important role in promoting a more innovative economy by providing the investment and resources needed for high-potential small and medium-sized businesses to grow. Recognizing the importance of the venture capital industry to our future growth, Economic Action Plan 2012 announced $400 million to help increase the private sector investments in early-stage risk capital and to support the creation of large-scale venture capital funds led by the private sector. The Venture Capital Action Plan, which was strategically deploy this $400 million in new capital over the next 7 to 10 years, is expected to attract close to $1 billion in new private sector investments. To ensure that Canada remains a global research and innovation leader, Economic Action Plan 2013 plans to advance the Venture Capital Action Plan. We will provide $60 million over 5 years to help outstanding and high potential incubator and accelerator organizations in Canada to expand their services to entrepreneurs. Economic Action Plan 2013 will also make available $100 million to the Business Development Bank of Canada for strategic partnerships with business accelerators and co-investments in graduate firms. Of course, in order for business to take full advantage of these programs and services, we must continue to reduce the amount of red tape restricting economic growth. Our government is already implementing a one-for-one rule in which regulators now have to provide red tape relief for businesses equal to any new burden they introduce. As a result, 9 regulations have been repealed under the one-for-one rule since April 2012, saving $3.3 million in administrative burden on businesses. As part of the red tape reduction efforts in Economic Action Plan 2013, the Canadian Revenue Agency has created a dedicated team responsible for coordinating and addressing small business issues. With this new team, the CRA will be better able to help small businesses avoid costly and timely consuming audits by raising awareness of their tax obligations in order to help them to get it right from the start. Also effective April 2013, the CRA will ensure that the approval process for the authorization of third party to conduct business tax matters on behalf of the business owner is a more timely and responsive. CRA's efforts to sustained approach to reducing red tape was acknowledged in January when the Honourable Minister of National Revenue was awarded the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses Golden Scissors Award. Our balanced approach to business regulation and ongoing effort to reduce red tape will serve to create a more predictable environment for business to thrive and prosper in the long term. A strong, stable, and prosperous Canadian economy does not rely upon business investments, trade agreements, or favorable tax atmosphere alone. Our government is striving to establish a more flexible immigration system, streamlined, highly efficient, and aimed at attracting talented newcomers with the skills and experience our economy needs. We have already made significant progress in implementing long overdue reforms to the Canadian immigration system and will continue with these reforms to make the system faster, more flexible, and focused on Canadian labour market needs. As part of the Economic Action Plan 2013, our government will reopen the Federal Skills Worker Program with an updated point system that gives more weight to factors that are directly related to economic success. This policy aims to fill in gaps where there are recognized skill shortages. This is why the Economic Action Plan 2013 continues on our commitment to improve foreign credential recognition and additional target occupations under the Pan-Canadian framework for the assessment and recognition of foreign qualifications. Through the implementations of previous budgets, Canada has experienced one of the best economic performances in the G7. We were able to accomplish this during the global recession and throughout the recovery. Canadians have put their trust in us, and we are committed to delivering on their expectations by focusing on job creation and economic growth while returning to balanced budgets. I look forward to seeing the positive outcomes that the implementation of this new budget will bring as we continue to move towards a stronger and more prosperous Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. L'honorable député de Alfred Pelin.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Puis j'aimerais commencer par remercier mon collègue de l'autre côté pour son discours. Vous savez, en ce qui a trait au budget, j'ai pris le temps de faire une consultation très large dans mon comté, savoir qu'est-ce que les gens pensent du nouveau budget que les conservateurs ont déposé et aussi quelles étaient leurs priorités. Et puis j'ai reçu des centaines et des centaines de réponses, Monsieur le Président. Il y a plusieurs points qui inquiètent les résidents de mon comté. Et puis je leur ai promis que j'allais protéger ces valeurs-là et ces priorités-là en posant des questions au gouvernement conservateur. Le point le plus important, je crois, pour les citoyens d'Alfred Pelin, c'est d'avoir des réponses en ce qui a trait à la cessation du crédit d'impôt pour les fonds des travailleurs. Chez nous, dans la province du Québec, ce crédit d'impôt-là est extrêmement important. Ça favorise l'employabilité, l'essor des petites entreprises dans toutes les régions au Québec, si je peux me permettre, et ça touche beaucoup notre économie. Mon collègue parle d'emploi et de prospérité de l'autre côté. J'aimerais savoir ce qu'il pense du fait qu'en ce moment, il s'attaque à des petites entreprises au Québec et à des travailleurs qui méritent beaucoup mieux que ça.
The honourable member for Niagara West, Glanbrook.
Thank you, and I want to thank my colleague for her question from the other side there. I think when it looks at what are some of the things that we could do to create jobs, I think that one of the things that we've been constantly doing is investing in research and development. One of the things that we won't do is cut back on R&D. We may shift around what that looks like. We realize that we, as a country, spend a high proportionate amount of dollars in R&D spending. The challenge has been in recent years, I don't think we've seen the kind of value that we need in terms of commercialization. We'd certainly like to create more RIMs. I think that's important. We realize that they've been very successful. And so as we look at how we can target our money for R&D, there will be some changes made over time, but our government's commitment is still to spend money in that field because we believe that is important for creating the jobs of the future.
Question commentaire. The honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, over the last 4 or 5 years, what we've witnessed is a Conservative government that has actually seen a net increase in taxes. They would have you believe that they've actually decreased the taxes when the reality is the opposite. And we see that in this particular budget with the number of increases in different tariffs, even tariffs where there is no companies manufacturing the same type of product. So the government is cashing in literally millions and millions of dollars, additional tax dollars, in particular through things like tariffs. And my question to the member is in relation to why it is the government has seen fit to increase taxes and that we've seen a net increase in overall taxes that are being paid by Canadians.
Member for Niagara West Glanbrook.
As a matter of fact, that our government has continually cut taxes, and as a result, families now see a difference of almost over $3,000 to their income every year. So,
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, Westdale.
One of the ways to elevate debate here is to make sure that any representation that's made is one that has some legitimacy. And a little while ago, the member from Winnipeg North posed a question regarding housing. And the answer that came back was not one that was actually representative of what's in the budget. And so I'd like to ask my honourable colleague from Niagara West Glanbrook about affordable housing and the landmark investments that this government has made and no other federal government has made for almost the last 3 decades.
Honourable member for Niagara West Glanbrook.
I want to thank my honourable colleague from Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, Westdale, and the other parts of Hamilton for that question. I think that's one of the things that this government has been very, very strident on in terms of being responsible and looking out for those that are less fortunate. I think that once again, as we look at the commitments we've made in this budget, we've got $119 million a year over 5 years for the Homelessness Partnership, which continues to move forward. If you look at that, that's almost $600 million over the next 5 years just for that program alone. And in terms of the affordable housing strategy, we've also committed $253 million per year over the next 5 years for that. So if you total up the amount of money that we've committed towards homelessness partnerships, affordable housing strategies, that money is in excess of $1.7 billion over the next 5 years. And quite clearly, that demonstrates our commitment to those that are less fortunate.
Resuming debate.